Stop making this fitness mistake, please. Do not be an idiot and make the fitness mistake I made for so long, because I fell for the traps that everyone told me. They gave me the wrong advice and I was stupid and I listened and then I thought it would work and it didn't work. Well, it did work, but it shouldn't have worked. It did. Anyway, just listen up, okay? Fasting is stupid and it doesn't lead to more weight loss, okay? For the majority of people, it is stupid and it's not good. And I'm going to explain why, okay? Before I get into that, I know what I'm talking about. I've been doing this for a very long time. I've been training in the gym for 2 years, doing calisthenics for 3 years prior to that. I've been doing this for a very long time. I've been researching this topic for a very long time. I'm very passionate about this topic. I love this topic. I know what I'm talking about. Simple as that. So listen up, okay? Fasting is stupid for the majority of people. Now, I'm not talking about religion and stuff like that. I'm talking about people who fast for the reason of fasting to lose weight, okay? So I believed the psyop, the stupid psyop of, if you fast, you lose more weight because you're just like you're hungry and like your body's just like, you know, like it's producing growth hormone and like you're just burning fat. That's not how it works, okay? In the same way, fasted cardio does not lead to more fat growth than fed cardio, right? Losing weight comes down to one thing. I've said this so many times. One thing: calorie deficit. Now, it sounds unoriginal and stupid, and you've heard it a million times. What it means is an energy deficit. You need to be either moving so much or not eating so much so that your calories in, how much you were eating, is low and your calories out is higher than the calories in. That was a really bad explanation. Let me try explain it again. Calories in, right, what you're eating, needs to be lower than your calories out, which is how much you're moving, okay? Basically, you need to move more than you eat. Simple as that, right? That is it. And because you are in this deficit, your body needs to get energy from somewhere. So it takes it from its body fat stores, right? It's taking it. It needs energy. It needs energy so you can move around. So it takes it, taking it from there. That is when you start losing the body fat, right? That's how it works. That's how losing weight works. Just because you're in a 16-hour fast or 12-hour fast, it doesn't mean you're just burning fat in that time, right? Yeah, you're in a deficit in that time, obviously, because you're not eating. But then for the other hours, if you eat 5,000 calories, you'll be in a surplus, right? And then you'll gain fat. So being in the fast does not lead to the losing of weight, right? The reason people think fasting leads to the losing of weight is because it's more likely you are not going to eat as much because you're in a smaller window of when you can eat. However, I'm also going to go against that because, you know, in 8 hours, I could eat 5,000 calories, right? And then I'd be in a massive surplus. So I don't think this window is really that restrictive at all, right? Some people, fasting works, 100%. Fasting completely works, but it's also stupid for another reason. I'm going to explain why it's also stupid. People fasting, hey, I'm just going to fast till 5 p.m. in the afternoon. All right, pretty cool. Are you religious? No, I'm just doing it for fitness. Okay. So why? You're basically missing out on all of the protein synthesis before 5 p.m. So you're just not really building much muscle before 5 p.m. because you're not giving your body any protein so it can go, oh, we've got protein, we've got building blocks, let's build the muscle. You're not doing that, right? You're giving it nothing. And sure, if you are cutting, I did this as well, and it was stupid. But if you are cutting, fasting can be good because you get to eat more later in the day, okay? The only thing is, though, if you are fasting, you're not spreading your protein throughout the day, and that is important when it comes to muscle building. Now, I am going to give a quick disclaimer that it is not as important, right? The spreading out of protein isn't as important as the protein itself, right? The total amount of protein, right? Before I get into everything, though, I know I'm going on a bit of a rant. Remember, in the description is my aesthetic body course and my online one-to-one coaching. If you really need help, I can get you into shape. Go and check those out. They will change your life if you let them. Sorry to quickly plug that. Anyway, total protein intake is more superior, 100%, than when you spread out your protein. But the spreading out of protein is also important, right? You wake up after a long night of sleeping with no calories, no protein, right? You're already fasting for 8 hours. Then you go fast for another 10 hours, right? Because you're eating your food in this one window. Then for 18 hours, you're having no protein. What is your muscles doing? They're thinking, hey, we did a really hard training session yesterday, and, we're just kind of waiting for the building blocks so we can start the muscle growth process. And we're not getting any. We're just waiting here. We've got the tools. We've got the hammer. We don't have the nail. Where's the nails? Where's the planks? Where's the sand? I don't know. Where's the materials? We're not going to give them the materials because we're fasting till 8 in the night because, we're going to increase growth hormone and, we're going to lose more weight. I fell for this psyop. During my cut, I wouldn't eat any protein or anything for hours, probably till 1 in the afternoon. My body has just been fasting and without protein for hours on end, and then I just go longer. So my body is just not getting the adequate amount of protein it needs in that moment so it can build muscle. And yes, I know there's loads of people who fast and have muscle, and you can build muscle. I know. I'm just saying it's not going to specifically lead to more weight loss. It's not going to specifically lead to more muscle gain. You're not going to get more growth hormone. Yes, it does do a little bit of that, but it's negligible, basically. It does nothing. Anyway, I personally think you should have breakfast. Let me say that again. You should have the first meal of the day, which is break fast breakfast. You're meant to break your fast. You've already been fasting for 8 hours, 10 hours of sleeping. Sorry, my throat is dry. That is when you're meant to break your fast and eat something, eat protein. So your body goes, hey, we got some protein, guys. Let's start hammering the nails. Let's start building the skyscraper. So you're building the muscle. But you're not doing that because you're not giving it any protein, right? So you're just missing an opportunity for protein synthesis to occur, and you're not going to be putting on as much muscle. And yes, you can build a nice physique if you fast. I understand this, all right? There's loads of people who do this, and total protein intake is more important. But if you're trying to maximize your physique, you're trying to build as much muscle as possible as a natural, which is, important. We want to build as much muscle as possible. Who doesn't want the most muscle possible, right? Without hopping on. I personally want as much muscle as I possibly can get. So I'm going to be having 5 meals every day, spread out with protein. Why? Because I'm hitting every single opportunity for protein synthesis. Sorry again. Now, I am going to say a few things here, which is what I believe is, again, total protein intake is king. All right, if you're getting your 1 gram per pound of body weight, you're going to be building muscle. But if you're all having it in one meal, then what is your body doing, prior to the meal and after the meal, right? Yeah, for a few hours, it's still got that protein, it's consuming it. But then late at night, right, you're going to sleep and you haven't had any protein because you've had your 1 meal in the middle of the day. You've had none in the sleep, or you had none in sleep. You had none in the morning. You have some in lunch or have all of it at lunch. And then what you have in the evening and when you go to bed, you're not, it's just, I don't know. For the majority of people, you're likely going to be starving throughout the day because you're not having many meals, right? You're not having many high fructose of meals. Then you're not getting, all your protein spread out, meaning you're going to have less muscle because, you're meant to spread your protein throughout the day so you can spike muscle synthesis all throughout the day. And also, it doesn't improve growth hormone the way people say it does, right? It's just stupid. And I fell for this. And in my cut, I was going to 12 o'clock in the morning, not eating because, that's what you're meant to do, right? It's stupid. I was just basically missing multiple opportunities to build muscle. So let me explain how you build muscle, right? You go to the gym, you train. Catabolic, you're breaking down the muscle. Mechanical tension, stimulating the muscle growth. And you're thinking, great. You're giving your muscles a signal to grow. Amazing, you trained hard, great, right? Fasted, unfasted, who cares? Then you come away from the gym, right? This is where you were anabolic, when you were meant to be growing. The gym is where you're breaking down the muscle. You're not growing in the gym, you're breaking. When you come outside the gym, that's when you're meant to be growing. But then you're not giving your body the protein and food spread out so it can grow. So you've done a really good training session, but for 16 hours after the training session, you're giving it nothing. So, your body is just like, hey, so we did that really good training session, but when are we going to get, the materials so we can actually start building the muscle? You signal to us to build muscle, but we can't build it without the protein. So give it some protein. They named the meal break fast because you're meant to break your fast and eat, get protein in, build muscle, and, feel energized throughout the day. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You've heard this a million times. It's the calories you're going to be using for the rest of the day is in breakfast. So break your fast and eat breakfast so you're energized and you can go on throughout your day. You're getting your protein in, you're building muscle, and life is good. Why are you waiting till 5 p.m. to start building the muscle? Your body was ready for hours prior to build the muscle, but you're just waiting. You're not giving it anything. Protein is the building blocks of muscle growth. Without it, you don't build it. Simple as that. Training, very important, right? Very, very important. That's giving the signal, the stimulus for the muscles to grow. But the muscles can't grow if you're not giving them the protein. So give it the protein. Now, around the gym as well, I would be suggesting you eat. So if you are fasting, you eat your meal, a few hours before the gym, right? So you eat your meal, great, you're getting all your protein in, cool. Then you go to the gym, right? You're feeling good, feeling energized because you've had your big meal. Then for hours after the gym, you're not eating. Well, we need some protein. We need more protein. What are we going to do, right? We're not going to be building much muscle. You're not giving it the meals after the gym. You need to be giving it some meals. You're not doing that. And so the literature says, and I'm not very scientific, but I have been researching for a long time. The research says, if you go to the gym fasted, you need to eat protein basically straight away after the gym, right? But if you are not fasted before the gym, so you eat your meal, you should be having a post-workout meal, 3 hours after, 4, 5, whatever hours after. But when you're fasting, having one meal a day, you're not doing that. You're missing out on muscle growth. And I know this sounds really simple and cliche and not that big a deal, but if you're trying to maximize muscle growth, I want an aesthetic physique, I want to get as big as possible. I'm going to be optimizing these things. And fasting isn't going to lead to more weight loss specifically, okay? Just because you're fasting, it doesn't mean, just because you feel hungry in that time, doesn't mean you're losing weight, because when you go to eat, you could overeat and eat 5,000 calories and still be gaining weight. So all it comes down to is the calorie deficit. So I personally suggest what you should do is wake up, break your fast at breakfast, oh my gosh, and eat a nice high protein meal, pretty big meal, so it's energizing you throughout the day. Your lunch is a bit smaller, your dinner's a bit smaller, then have a few snacks throughout the day. 5 intakes of protein, around 20 grams, and you're going to be growing all throughout the day. Why do you need to go and do the crazy fast when you can just spread your meals out? 3 hours between them, 4 hours, whatever. 5 meals a day. You eat, protein everywhere. You're in your deficit. You're losing weight. Life's great. And you're probably going to feel less hungry because, you're actually eating all throughout the day. Now listen, you can lose weight if you fast, right? And you eat in a certain window. You can gain weight eating the 5 meals a day, like I said. It just comes down to a calorie deficit. And you can build muscle just eating 1 meal a day. It's just not optimal. Simple as that. I don't care. That's just how it is. Anyway. Oh my gosh. In the description is my aesthetic body course and my online one-to-one coaching. The aesthetic body course gives all of my advice, all of my knowledge on how to build a nice, attractive aesthetic physique. It gives basically everything I've learned ever, from my own personal mistakes, from my own personal journey, but from also what I've been researching for a very long time now. And it just teaches you exactly how to build a nice physique. So if you're struggling with that, go and check that out. Remember, do not underestimate how important building a nice physique is for your own confidence, for your relationships, for your work, for your opportunities, etc. Because, it just makes your life so much better. Anyway, the other link goes to my online one-to-one coaching. You can hop on a call with me for dirt cheap, and I will give you any advice. I will answer any fitness questions you have, any questions about how to get into shape, etc. And I will give you specific advice tailored to you to really get into the best shape of your life and, become as healthy as possible, because it's really important and you should be focusing on that for, your entire of your life, because, you just should. Anyway, go and check those links out. They will change your life if you let them. And remember, nothing changes if nothing changes. Boom, go and check them out.